would never be a factor. Now I'm laughing at Benihana's with benefactors. Sell my soul for an artist love with them giant raptors. My chef cooking that steak and lobster on giant pack.
What up, Internet? Welcome to a show that I've decided to call Deliberate Marketing. You're on episode 3, I believe. Farther than I thought I'd make it so far, considering this is a little passion project just to educate the general public here. But my name is Drew Susi. I'm the owner of a digital marketing agency in the greater New England area called DS Media. Over the last 5 years, we've worked with 100 different businesses, way more than 100 different businesses, to help them grow their brands, their presence, and get them more clients and customers. We've amassed more than 50 million organic views for a variety of different content, ranging from e-commerce and influencers to brick and mortar and blue collar. What I am doing with this show is, well, I have the intent of dispelling a lot of the myths, the lies, and straight up bullshit that is propagated by individuals in my industry that I really wish would go somewhere else. There are a lot of hacks in this field. There are a lot of quacks in this field. And my goal is not to get you guys spending money with me. My goal is to get you guys to stop spending money with them. That is all I'm looking for. And what better way to do that than to educate you guys on the actual processes, principles, and strategies that real marketing agencies use to promote businesses and brands. My goal for every single episode is to make sure that you have something actionable that you can walk away with, and something that you can apply directly to your business or brand to make sure that you're out there promoting it to the best of your ability. Episode number 1 has a complete roadmap that you can use to promote your business all the way to the point that you should be able to grow to the point where you can call somebody like me, an agency or an individual that you can hire to promote your business and brand for you. Episode number 2 is how to spot people that absolutely suck at this job and you should not be spending money on. Episode number 3 here, I actually wanted to go into some of the terms associated with digital marketing nowadays. And the reason why I wanted to go into this is because there's a whole bunch of terms that are thrown around in the digital marketing space that are used interchangeably, and they are not the same thing. So my hope here is if you're a business owner and you're looking for specific services, I'm going to approach this the same way that I really try to approach my barbers, and I haven't had much luck with so far, just for the record. So if you're a good barber in the greater Portland area, do me a favor, hit me up. What I'm hoping is teaching you the terms and teaching you how to more correctly, more specifically ask for exactly what you're looking for help with. You might be able to find better resources, better services associated with whatever you're looking for to grow your brand. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And so the trifecta that I really want to focus on, that everybody throws around, that is definitely not used correctly by a lot of business owners, my clients included, no offense to you guys, is marketing, branding, and advertising. Those 3 items right there are completely different things. They are all completely separate from each other in terms of what they actually mean. And so let's take a moment to actually break those down. Marketing, branding, and advertising, they all go together, but they are all separate parts of that equation. The simplest way I can get you to understand the difference between the 3 is understanding the 3 A's: association, awareness, and amplification. Branding is association, marketing is awareness, advertising is amplification. So let's start with branding, because that really is the smart place that a business should start with. And marketing is the first actionable thing that you really should be putting out to the public, because you need to make people aware of the product or service or business that you are attempting to garner sales for. However, the best ones approach that with a brand identity in mind. And so branding is a continuous process of associating your business with something else, with an idea. Branding is the process of creating an idea of something in somebody's head. And so, as I said, the successful businesses, they approach marketing and advertising from a brand first perspective. And it's actually quite a simple process. Well, I should say simple to learn, easy to learn, hard to master. Let's put it that way. A great example of utilizing branding Well, actually, let's not even start with the examples. Let's go a little bit more in depth on exactly what that definition means. What that definition of branding means is when I mention a business, what do you think of? So let's take the Disney brand. The Disney brand, what is it? Family. Family, fun, adventure, magic, right? That's an association. That name conjures something specific in your head, right? DS Media. That one probably doesn't mean anything to you right now because you haven't been exposed to my business enough. But based on the association of me with that business, what can you assume? You can assume it's no bullshit, right? It's pretty straightforward. Might be a little bit rough around the edges, but it definitely gets the job done. That's association. I am associated with my business. Therefore, I am representing my business. Therefore, my business is branded by what I am doing, how I am communicating, what I am associated with. I very, very clearly state that we are from New England. I very, very clearly wear things representative of New England. And if you look at the color scheme of my business, you'll notice that the colors are all referring to New England sports. There's a certain hockey team that uses a very similar gold to the gold that we use on a black backdrop. There's a baseball team with a retro jersey from my neck of the woods that happens to have the same accent color teal that, well, not the same, but very, very similar that we use for our business. That's association. That's not anything direct that anybody in particular probably notices right off the bat, but it's an unconscious thing. It's an association. I primarily cater to New England businesses, and I want people to understand that. So I make sure that the things that I'm associated with represent New England. Boston Red Sox, right on this hat right here. New England sports colors in the colors of my business. Explicitly stating that we serve the greater New England area whenever I mention DS Media. That's association. Now you think, okay, the Northeast. Who am I going to call up here in the Northeast if I open up a business? If I have a buddy up there that is running a business up in New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, wherever. You're probably going to say, oh, hey, I should call that Drew guy. I know he's up there. I know he caters exclusively to New England businesses. And that association right there is branding. That's branding. It's as simple as that. What do you want people to think of when they think of your business? I want people to think of straightforward, no bullshit. That's the main thing I want people to think of when they think of my name or my business. I want people to believe that what I'm sharing with them is the truth and understand that I have that I approach everything with the integrity of if I am incorrect, I will make good on whatever the error was. I have no problem admitting I'm wrong, but I also don't talk unless I know I'm right. Straightforward, no bullshit. That's a brand identity. Now, ask yourself, your business, your brand, what are you associated with? What do you represent? What do people think of when they mention your business? XYZ cleaning service. What do they think of? Do they think of spotless floors? Do they think of somebody always showing up on time? Do they think of, maybe do they think of, missed corners? Do they think of excessively dusty shit because you're not very good at your job? Like, what do they think of? That's branding. And that's the first place that a lot of you should really start if you're looking to market your business better. What association do you want made with you? That will guide you on a lot of different stuff as well. That will tell you who you should be collaborating with if you ever get to the point that you should consider influencers or whatever else. Or even just local businesses that you can collaborate with. It'll tell you who to stay away from. It'll tell you how to speak. That's actually a big one that a lot of people miss. Brand voice is a big part of this as well. You'll notice that I have no problem cursing, right? Well, if you've talked to anybody from fucking Southie, like a lot of people up here in New England, at least the ones that are under the age of fucking 65, have no problem with cursing because we We just speak differently up here than a lot of the rest of the United States does, right? We're a little rougher around the edges, so to speak. That's branding. That's a very specific tone of voice. Now, that voice right there, I do not carry that over to clients of ours. That's not their brand voice. I do not communicate in that method on their behalf. You know, we have individuals that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. They are very clearly associated with clean and proper and, you know, I don't want to say soft, but more corporate. We'll say more corporate. Their brand voice does not match mine. Therefore, I do not want it associated with me, and they do not want me associated with them in that capacity. We speak in their brand voice. Their brand voice associates them with other ideas. It's all a game of association. But deciding on who you want to be represented as, what you want your name associated with, that's brand. So start from there and then get into the marketing and advertising part. If you're new to this, at least. And if you're not, I mean, hell, create your brand identity a little bit better. If you aren't new to this shit, I can tell you right now that it's been a constant refinement process for myself, several friends of mine, just about everybody that's trying to go. The brand identity game it's a very, very long one, and it's a very evolving one, or it's one that evolves a lot over time. So I don't necessarily think that one's ever finished. If you have a professional brand book, that's always a great place to use as a foundation. Putting together those things, the associations, the do's and don'ts of your brand is always a great thing to have on hand. That's something that I preach to just about every client that we work with, and it's something that we put together for a lot of them. But the overarching point here is branding is association. And so you need to make sure that what you're associating yourself with is what you want people to think of when they think of your business. That will guide all of your marketing and advertising afterward. Now let's move on to marketing, because marketing is the one that everybody throws out. Marketing is the one everybody throws out when they're actually talking about branding or advertising. 9 times out of 10. Like, they just say, I need marketing services. What they're actually looking for is an ad campaign. They need marketing services. What they're actually looking for is a visual identity. They need marketing services. They need a logo. Design services. But they throw out marketing because that's the one word that everybody knows. And generally speaking, marketing, the concept, the premise of marketing is overall awareness, right? So loosely, very, very loosely, all of those things that I just mentioned could kind of fall into that category. They could. They definitely could, a little bit. And I understand where that misconception comes from. But the reality is that the game of marketing, the definition of marketing, is awareness. It's raising awareness. Marketing is placement. Marketing is promotion. Marketing is the strategies and the systems that ensure the right people are seeing the right message. Marketing is the tools used to promote specific brand identities, specific offerings by businesses, etc. It's raising awareness. It's making people know about the thing that you want them to know about. The service that you have, the product that you provide, your name, whatever it happens to be. That's marketing. Great example of this, one of my favorite ones, is back in 1999, to promote season 1 of The Sopranos. The HBO, the company, the production company in charge of that series, what they did to promote it was they actually hung fake arms out the back of taxi cab trunks and a whole bunch of other shit around the New York metro area. That is great awareness. That's a pattern interrupt. That's something that makes people do a double take of like, what the hell am I looking at, right? It makes people want to know more. It raises awareness. You might not know exactly what it is at first, but you have an idea of something being out there. That's raising awareness. Another great marketing example, a very, very simple one, is the CeraVe ads that CeraVe memes, actually, that CeraVe ran forever ago. Michael Cera, there was a rumor propagated online that he had something to do with the CeraVe skincare brand, and it started off as a meme. And the next thing you know, several months later, there was a Super Bowl commercial about it, and everybody lost their minds because they were like, "Oh my God, they were in on it. That was a great use of fucking internet culture and da 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 da." No, that was manufactured by the ad agency. The agency that was in charge of CeraVe actually manufactured the internet memes that were used to advertise the conspiracy, I guess, of Michael Cera being associated with that brand. That's marketing. That's awareness. They raised awareness about CeraVe. One of the ones I'm noticing going on right now. Guitar Hero reels are being pushed quite a bit. I haven't thought of Guitar Hero in years. And all of a sudden, I see a whole bunch of people playing Guitar Hero. Now, it's all sorts of weird content online, right? But it's like random influencers, creators making content around Guitar Hero, a game that's been dead for, I think, 10 years now, at least. Couple weeks ago, they announced that they're coming out with another one. They're reviving that brand. That's great marketing. They had influencers create material around that brand, that product, before they actually announced anything. That's awareness. They raised awareness of it so that when they dropped the news, people were already thinking about it. It was already top of mind in some capacity. Now, what does this have to do with the small business aspect? You know, the independent business, the people at our level that we're talking about. This is very, very important. Marketing, my goal when it comes to working with independent businesses, like we're talking like you don't have a board of directors size. So anywhere from 6 to 8 figures, basically. The number one goal when it comes to marketing those businesses should be owning the conversation. When somebody says, hey, I need X service, I need Y product, whatever, the first name that should pop up in the head of whoever they're talking to is you. It's that business or brand. That's my number one goal with every client that I work with. So if I'm working with, I mentioned something about a barber earlier. If I'm working with a barber shop and somebody says, damn, I need a cut, I need a good lineup, whatever. My goal as the marketer of that business is to own that conversation. So whoever that guy says, damn, I need a good lineup to, I want the guy on the other end to immediately go, hey, I know who you should call. You should call, fucking Drew Tato Chip, the barbershop on, 17th or whatever. That is the game of awareness. Top of mind awareness, owning the conversation. That's my number one goal. And so applying that to your business as a small business, as an independent business, think about ways that you can own the conversation around whatever your product or service is. A lot of that nowadays is social media content. That's why my agency, that's why my people, we focus on content marketing. Because an easy way to own the conversation and maintain top of mind awareness is to just be constantly showing up on a phone, on social media platforms, where the vast majority of people spend their time nowadays. At least marketable people, people that can be sold to. They spend a lot of their time on social media. And so we focus on owning the conversation around whatever our product or service that we're promoting for people is. It's that simple. It's raising awareness about a brand, a product, a service, a topic, whatever. Marketing is awareness. And so marketing should be used in the capacity of the actions associated with making something more known. Brand is what you're making known. Branding is the picture that you're building. It's the idea that you want shared. Marketing is the sharing of that idea and making sure that it sticks, that it sticks around for a while. That's marketing and branding. That's the main difference between those two. Now, let's bring in number 3, amplification. That's advertising. Amplification, advertising. Amplification, meaning more of, produce more of. Advertising is, again, an action. Advertising is it is a paid accelerator, basically. It's product placement. That's where call to actions matter. That's where the selling is done. Modern marketing nowadays is value-based marketing for the most part, which means that a lot of times, just because we live in an hyper-consumption society where everybody is sold to constantly, one of the best methods of selling is to not sell anything at all. You may actually notice this throughout this series. I don't ever say, hey, call me. I don't ever say, buy my shit. Because that turns you off immediately, right? If I was sitting here and saying, hey, here's all of this information, you should call me up for the rest, you're going to be like, can I really trust this guy? He clearly wants something from me. I don't want anything from you. The only thing I want from you is for you to be better with your money and stop spending it on people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's actually a pretty small proposition. Then that still benefits just you. That doesn't benefit me. That's value-based marketing. But advertising is the process of placement, basically. That's making sure that your message, your brand, and the marketing, the awareness that you're putting out there is actually showing up in the places that it needs to. So advertising in the game of small business nowadays has a lot to do with social media ads, actually, unfortunately. Social media is very quickly becoming, across the board, a pay-to-play game. It has been on Facebook for a long time. It is becoming that way on, it actually is mostly that way on Instagram now. TikTok, same thing. If you want to be seen, you need to be spending money on those platforms. And that's actually a pretty easy thing to understand if you think about it. If you're getting something for free, like long-term, you're not having to pay for a significant value service or whatever, you're not the customer, you're the product. And that's the user bases of all these social media platforms. So saying that we're required to pay into these platforms to be able to continue advertising, to even make sure that our marketing content, our organic content is seen at all, which is, for the record, the case quite a bit nowadays, pretty much across the board, I think that's actually fairly reasonable, all things considered. A lot of people are up in arms about that, but I think that's pretty reasonable. So advertising for small businesses, like I said, is social media ads. The best thing that you could possibly do is be spending money on placement. And so you should have a Meta Business account, and you should have an ad account. You should probably have a Google Ads account. And what you should be doing is you should just be running your most popular marketing content, the stuff that's raising awareness. You should just be running that as an ad. Take your most popular piece of content that you've put out in recent memory and just put, $10 a day behind it, $20 a day behind it, whatever, and run that as an ad. And then change the caption in it to have a call to action in there. Now that piece of marketing is advertising. It's placed somewhere that hopefully will net you a conversion, because that's what the algorithms and software and everything else that is run by all of these large companies is designed to do. So you walk through their ad account, you make sure, for the record, if you are a small business, for the love of God, make sure that you are location targeting. I cannot believe the amount of people that ignore geo-targeting. Like, to go back to the prior episode that we were talking about marketing hacks, while I was looking up a bunch of those quacks, I started getting targeted with a bunch of ads by marketing agencies, which, for the record, doesn't make sense. Why are you targeting another marketer? But besides that, I pulled some of them up, and they were located in they were located in Oregon, or they were located in Texas, or they were located in Nebraska. And it's like, well, why are you targeting me in Maine? That doesn't make any sense. I had the same thing for paving companies. I had the same thing for hair salons. I had the same thing for a variety of different individuals. Like, that's actually how we've gotten some business, is calling those people up and being like, hey, I see that you're doing a great job in terms of prioritizing, your actions to promote your business, right? Like, you're willing to advertise. That's awesome. That's a step ahead of a lot of people in your place. But why are you a hair salon and advertising to me up in Maine when you're located in Indiana? I'm not going to drive 14 hours for a haircut. That doesn't make any sense, right? So then you start having that conversation with them of like, oh, well, maybe we can help you place those better. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do that. that was sort of a little bit of an aside. But my point is, if you're going to run ads and you're going to advertise, make sure that you are geo-targeting. Make sure that you target a location and a specific kind of people in that location. The rest of the ad stuff would require an episode and a half of, details and jargon that I honestly would, hell, an episode and a half would barely break the surface on that shit. But an easy starting point is taking your marketing material, taking the content that you know has done well, and just turning it into an ad. Change the caption to a call to action of some kind of like, hey, buy now. Hey, call me for this. We're running this special until whatever, something like that. That's an easy way to get into the practice of advertising, basically, as a small business. So to wrap this up again, association, awareness, and amplification. Those are the 3 A's that you got to remember to understand the difference between these 3. So the next time that you have a conversation about these things, make sure that you're referring to them in the right way so that you're getting the service that you are seeking. Most people, they just say marketing. They just say, I need marketing services for my business. Well, okay, what do you need? Do you have a visual identity already? Like, do you have a brand built up? Do you know how your business communicates? Like, do we have guidelines that we can operate with on your behalf? If not, you're looking for branding services to start. If you have all that stuff set up and you have a product and an offer and everything else, okay, you're probably but you're not looking for somebody to manage your ad spend budget. You're looking for marketing services. You're looking for somebody to raise awareness about your business. You're looking for people to, you are looking for more people to be having a conversation around the product or service that you're offering. And then advertising, again, like if you have your marketing in place, you have a good strategy there, and then you have a good brand identity, well, then that's where advertising comes in. That's the amplification of those other 2. That's where we start talking about, okay, are we making sure that this is showing up in front of these very specific people that we know are already primed to buy this for that reason, yada, 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 yada. Association, awareness, amplification. Those 3, and that is the order that you should be worried about them in. Build your brand first, then worry about making people talk about your brand, then make sure that people are primed to buy from your brand. That's it. That's the whole game. Those 3 things right there. You could spend another fucking, I've spent a decade on this shit, so you could probably spend another, and I don't, I'll be real. I don't know shit. I've been at this for 10 years. I don't know shit about these 3 things. I know just enough to know that the game constantly changes and I need to stay on it every single day in order to make sure that I am effectively applying all of these. But all of these games that we're talking about right here, they're based on scientific psychological principles that are less than 100 years old. The modern concept of psychology, the basis for everything that we're coming up with here in terms of marketing, branding, and advertising, it's all... I want to say the modern version of psychology, it was it 1890? I think 1890 is when our modern definition of psychology was solidified. So the science of psychology is 130 years old, 135 years old ish, ballpark. Don't quote me verbatim on that, but you get the idea. Humanity is 12,000, 100,000, who knows? It's thousands of years old. So our practices that we're talking about right here, this is another great note actually while we're covering this stuff. If anybody talks about any of this as a hard science, walk away. Walk out the door. Stay away from those people. Because it is a practice, it is an art, and there is some science to it, but it is a constantly evolving game, which is why, by the way, once you reach a certain level, you absolutely should outsource this shit. You should make sure you know enough to understand whether the person that you're outsourcing to knows what they're talking about. But other than that, you should be offloading this to somebody who does this for a living full time. Because staying on top of this stuff is, especially now in the digital era where everything moves a mile a fucking minute, and every single day there is some kind of ripple in the space-time continuum that is the internet. The advent of AI being a great example that just changes the game almost entirely. With all of that stuff, if you're not on top of that all the time, I'm telling you as a guy that has been on top of this all the time for the last 5 years straight, it's hard. It's almost impossible to keep up with. But it's based on new sciences. So it's a constantly evolving game. On that note, I'm going to say it one more time, and then we're just going to fade out. And we're going to run away. We're going to call this the end of episode 3. Association, awareness, amplification. Focus on what you want to be associated with, raise awareness of that association, and then amplify that message to get people to buy. That's the system right there. That's it. Now go build your business. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.